Stefflondon vs Jada Kingdom. When Jamaican dancehall musician Jada Kingdom, 25, and British Jamaican rapper Stefflondon, 32, engaged in a verbal fight over a series of blistering diss tracks and social media spats earlier this month, the internet went into a frenzy. Jada Kingdom is 25 years old and Stefflondon is 32 years old. This conflict is believed to have been fueled by rumors of love connections between the women and Burna Boy, a prominent figure in the Afrobeats music scene, by mocking her for allegedly starting the beef over a man and pontificating on the condition of her nether regions across offerings such as London Bed and Steph Lazarus. Kingdom appeared to be targeting members of the Don's family. Personal shots were fired, insults were delivered below the belt, and it appeared that no slur was outside the bounds of acceptable behavior. Stefflondon responded by accusing her competitor of being a prostitute and lacking in ambition on her tracks Dead Dial Walking and Dead Dial Talking. Stefflondon accused her opponent of being a prostitute. During the time that legions of fans were gushing over the pasta, with many of them describing the event as exciting, there were also consumers who pleaded with the ladies to put aside their disagreements and make peace with one another, while also accusing them of providing a lousy performance in dancehall. Other critics stated that Jada and Steph were acting in a manner that was not appropriate for women. It appeared that they were being held to different standards than their male colleagues, who in general are free to engage in lyrical conflict without being subjected to the same level of scrutiny. Reggae musician Anthony B. and dancehall veteran Sean Paul were among the detractors. Paul wrote on Instagram, "Women should be warriors, yes, but a cause." Both of these artists are veterans of the dancehall genre. From a moral standpoint, you ought to be the one to lead. However, the fact of the matter is that the idea of musical confrontations is a phenomenon that is uniquely associated with dancehall, and one could argue profoundly Jamaican. In a subsequent interview with the Sunday Gleaner, Sean Paul acknowledged this reality by saying, "We have all benefited from clash culture." This statement was made in response to the preceding statement. Everyone benefits from it, including the selectors who disagree with one another, the rising artists who gain knowledge from the mistakes that others may make, and the winners. To put it another way, it sharpens us a great deal and makes us very powerful and very creative musicians and MCs. Despite Sean Paul's general assumption that the conflicts are rooted in a slavery mentality, history demonstrates that conflicts are founded on healthy rivalry. It is impossible to separate the two while still maintaining the validity of the art form. Clashes are the very essence of dancehall music. Those who were and still are on the periphery of society gave birth to dancehall, which is a gritty genre. It is raw, and to tell you the truth, it is not for everyone, especially not for polite society. The dancehall culture is characterized by a fierce musical competition that is built into its fabric. Indeed, it is not always adorable or family-friendly. After all, we're not discussing gospel music here. Nonetheless, it is genuine, and the right to defend the practice is also real. Even though there is nothing new under the sun, it is important to keep in mind that Steph and Jada are not the first Jamaican singers to engage in a quarrel, and they will not be the last. Some of the most dramatic conflicts in the history of modern music are engraved into the genre's history. These include the duel between Bounty Killer and Beanie Man in 1993, the war between Ninja Man and Super Cat in 1991, the counteraction between Lieutenant Stitchie and Papa San in 1995, and the face-off between Vybz Kartel and Mavado in 2009. History demonstrates that the phenomenon of women participating in military conflicts is not a new one. Sister Bam Bam was a pioneer in the dancehall genre. As the 1980s progressed, Nancy frequently found herself in conflict with a large number of people who were living in the same era as her, including Sister Charmaine, Lady Anne, and others. An older stateswoman was quoted as saying, "I clash with all of the early ones about the conflicts." The phrase, "I never had a bad day," since its debut in 1984, the yearly concert or stage show, known as Sting, has been the site of some of the most epic battles that have ever taken place in the dancehall genre. Sting was formerly considered to be the best performing arena for the performance of dancehall. There is a debate as to whether or not its influence has diminished over the past few years. Yet the fight between Steph and Jada is more than deserving of Sting's stage when it was at its peak before recent scandals afflicted the institution, such as this fight that went catastrophically wrong. During the most recent historic fight between two women, which took place at a Boxing Day event 10 years ago, Macca Diamond and Lady Saw, who had previously held the title of Queen of Dancehall, engaged in a lyrical heat, going bar for bar. This happened after months of disagreement between the two women. In Portmore, I can still vividly recall being amidst the mob and taking everything in. It is a reflection of the paucity of attention that is granted to female talent inside the dancehall arena that this gap has existed for 10 years. The year 2012 marked the beginning of an internet diss track exchange between Spice, who has since been named the Queen of Dancehall, and Macadiamond. Towards the end of that year, Spice made an appearance at Sting to engage in a confrontation with Macadiamond. She brought a donkey onto the stage to illustrate her claim that the animal was similar to her adversary. In the end, Macca did not show up to support the beef that was going on. Day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year, people continued to talk about this battle. With waves of post-war migration in the 1950s and 1960s, this practice and the spirit of melodic feud transcended the West Indies, emigrating to countries such as the United States of America and Britain. It also influenced genres such as the battle rap, diss track culture of hip-hop, and the always exciting clashes in grime. Several years later, we have commercial entities such as Swizz Beatz and Timbaland's Verses, which amused a large number of people during lockdown. Additionally, we have Red Bull culture clash bouts that refer to the same clash custom that is sometimes misinterpreted and misrepresented throughout the diaspora and beyond. As a result of the proliferation of the internet and social media, the conflict between Steff and Jada is a prime illustration of how, in today's world, conflicts appear and feel slightly different from how they did in the past. For example, the struggle played out in real time. The females were able to record their tracks relatively rapidly, submit them to online streaming services like Spotify and YouTube, rack up numbers, grow their profiles, and feed their online communities with content. Currency is equal to content plus community. The dragging also felt accessible in a way that was not the case in prior years, due to the advent of technology. The instantaneous nature of media is such that Jada could go Instagram live to face her opponent while Steff dropped word on her Instagram stories. However, this was not the case in the past. In addition to this, publicity was accumulated in publications such as NME, Complex, and Hot 97, as well as regional sites, and fans and blogs encouraged them to continue. The confrontation was, at its core, a performance that was theatrical and very much intended for the audience's enjoyment. This was true regardless of whether or not the beef was organic and inspired by actual occurrences. That is all very well and good. After all, the regulations stipulate that it is acceptable for the opponents to voice their complaints through music, so long as the situation does not escalate into physical violence and does not advocate for it. Irrespective of the circumstances, war is war. As far as disagreements are concerned, there is no room for threats to sue your opponent for defamation of character or to cry over your injured feelings, because, to tell you the truth, nobody cares about either of those things. It is also possible that clashing can result in concrete rewards. There have been instances in which musical competitions have propelled musicians to greater heights of success, which has occasionally resulted in an improvement in people's social standing and financial prospects. So this is the end of our today's video. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable response in our comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and informative videos.